Okay, today I want to talk about the visibility of progress when it comes to language learning. The problem that we are faced with is that um, we can't really see progress that well, and we can't really test progress that well. So these are two issues that we are struggling with when it comes to language learning. And one way to maybe show that and to make it more clear is this video by Smarter Every Day. It's the backwards bicycle, and here Dustin is his name. He gets this bicycle, and so now that instead of turning, when he turns left, the bike, when he turns the handlebars left, the bike actually turns right, and vice versa. And so he thought that it's easy, but it wasn't. So it's an awesome video, and actually the end is also very nice when he tries to relearn the normal bicycle. So both learning journeys are very interesting. We watch it with the children also from time to time. Let's look at this. So here, so it takes him about 8 months he explains in the video, it takes him about 8 months to learn how to ride this backwards bicycle. He trains about 5 minutes every day. It takes his son, who is 6 years old and only like 3 years ago learned how to ride the normal bicycle. It takes his son 2 weeks to learn what he learned in 8 months. So that's again interesting. But like here, I'm trying to show that over time, over the months, his skill is barely improving. So he gets a little bit better, but it's like not real. I mean, at the beginning, he can't even cycle um, like a meter, but then, over he doesn't show it, but I'm assuming that he's making little progress, and then he shows um, the last transition is what he shows when he's cycling, let's say 20 meters, and he understands that okay, now he can do it. But the jump, this is what is so important. So he goes from being able to cycle a couple of meters when everything goes like, if he's not distracted, he goes to suddenly his brain kind of understands how it works, and suddenly he can do it. So this moment where it's like the jump is so interesting. Like it was difficult, and you had to concentrate, and you can do it for a couple of meters, to suddenly all of a sudden, like this happens in one day, all of a sudden he's able to basically cycle. So he's at that level. And this jump is what we work towards from the beginning. And it's difficult to see like what again, like he's barely you have this feeling, and the students have all the time, they have this feeling that okay, we are learning so much English, but I feel like I'm not making progress. Like it's very small. But then comes a moment, and this is different for every student, but it does happen for all students by the latest, like around CM2. So they usually much earlier, usually in CM1, the vast majority has this experience where suddenly their level jumps, and they're basically able to talk, they're basically able to read, write, etc. But this can be frustrating. So this, for some people, it can be CP, CO1, CO2. It can be several years, this period, where it seems we're making so little progress. But what is important to understand is that even though this looks very similar to this, they are not at all the same. So we cannot just say, okay, we want to start here, and then the next day I can cycle, or the next day on day 239, I can't cycle, but on day 240, suddenly I can cycle. Like all of these steps, they are important. That at some point there's this huge jump. It's just that we don't see it and we cannot test it. So these are the problems that we're dealing with. He calls it knowledge versus understanding. So he knows that the bicycle, if he turns left, the handlebars, then the wheel turns right, and vice versa. So he has the knowledge, but he doesn't understand it. So he fails doing it. And when it comes to language learning, one of the researchers, Krashen, he calls it learning versus acquisition. So he says that learning is never acquisition. We can learn, like here, we can learn like these words. That doesn't mean, and we can maybe reproduce them in this kind of like we learn it, then we cover this page, and then we write it, and then like that's fine. But then the next day, or the day after, or 2 weeks after, or so on, we have forgotten the word completely. So this is the difference: learning versus acquisition. And yes, when we have, like, for example, now very inaccurate testing, like we in the kids box, like this is now, I just checked the new kids box 3. We don't have this one anymore. So also they understand that it's not really, you don't really learn vocabulary like this, and you don't really learn spelling like that either. Maybe you do a little bit when it comes to like independent learning, because the kids have to themselves cover up, write it, correct it. So in that sense, you learn some things, but in terms of vocabulary, so in terms of language, it's not that efficient. And what usually happened, that once we abandoned the kids box material and we went to this kind of more free writing, suddenly the chaos that was previously not visible became visible. So like you just don't see the progress. Like we can infer that, okay, if a child manages to cover up, then spell correctly, that maybe some learning is happening, but it's very, very inaccurate. For a lot of students, that once they are free, it just becomes a mess. Okay, I forgot to say at the last video that what looks like a mess is actually progress. So it looks to us that it's a mess. It looks to us that there's nothing is happening, but in reality something is happening, and that what is happening that is not visible and that is very difficult to test leads to a moment in time that this very big jump happens, and then all of a sudden the language learning becomes visible. This is also the reason that, like, for example, in Finland, for example, Sanna Marin, but like many other people also, their English and their Swedish are not at all on the same level. Yeah, let's see if I can edit that and add it to the other video.